Hi everyone, today we are talking about 3 ways to import data from a file into Excel. The last method I will talk about is to use AlchemyJ to do it, and I'll show you why it is the best approach in some situations. Stay tuned! But first, why would someone want to read the file into Excel? A lot of people use Excel to analyze data. We use data filter, we build pivot tables, we create charts out of the data. We try to make sense of the data. But where do we get the data from? It can come from a web service, a database, and in many cases, the data is stored in a file. Take data provided by the US government as an example. When you go to data.gov website, you'll find that the website provides many datasets for download. Most of them are in JSON format and CSV format. We'll have another video to talk about how to handle JSON in Excel. Now let's focus on CSV. How about we check out one of these, stolen gun data. Let's download the first one and see what is in the file. Let's open this CSV file using a text editor and see what is in it. Okay, so this is an example of a CSV file. CSV stands for comma separated values. It means each data field is separated by a comma. A typical CSV file includes a header with a list of the column names in the first line. Each line after the first line is a data record. You can imagine that CSV files are good for data that is in a single table format. It is not good for data that has a hierarchical structure. For data with a hierarchical structure, we usually use JSON and XML. Now let's talk about different ways to get this data into Excel. The first way, which is the easiest way, is to simply open the file using Excel. You can either double-click the CSV file or you can open it within Excel. Once the data is in Excel, we can use data filter, we can build charts, and so on. The problem is, what if the data in the file has changed? If you use this method to import your data into Excel, there's no way to refresh the data in Excel. This leads us to the second method, which is using Power Query. Power Query is a tool in Excel that allows you to import data from different sources. It allows you to set up the data connection and refresh the data afterwards. To use Power Query to import a CSV file, go to Data, from Text CSV, select the CSV file you want to open, and click Import. By default, the delimiter is set to comma. If the file you want to open uses another delimiter, you can change it here. Most of the time, Power Query automatically detects the first line as a header line. But as you can see in this case, it doesn't. We can fix this by going to Power Query Editor. Click the Transform button and click Use First Row as Headers. Now the headers are correct, click Close and Load to load the data into the worksheet. The good thing about this method is that we can refresh the data anytime. Let's change some values in the CSV file. Let's change this from Henry Arms to XXXXXX and save it. Then we go back to Excel and refresh the data. See, the data is updated immediately. This looks great. But what if you are building an Excel application and you want to load data from a different file based on some user input? For example, loading a customer order history file based on the customer number in a cell. You can't really do that using Power Query because the data source is actually a fixed setting. We can apply logic or use some Excel formulas to change it. That's why we shall take a look at a third method, which is using an AlchemyJ extended function to import data. If you haven't heard of AlchemyJ already, it is a tool that can turn a business model in Excel into an API. And to help you build APIs in Excel, AlchemyJ comes with loads of extended functions that enable you to do things that you can never do in Excel with formulas before, such as sending emails, writing data into a file, adding data into a database, and many more. And reading data from a file is one of them. This is fascinating. Let me show you how to do it. Alright, I have two customer order history files here. Customer 101 has 3 order records. Customer 102 has 4 order records from line 2 to line 5. The first thing we need to do in Excel is to initialize this Excel file to an AlchemyJ model. You will need AlchemyJ for this. AlchemyJ comes with an Enterprise Edition, Community Edition, and AlchemyJ Excel library. AlchemyJ Community Edition and AlchemyJ Excel library can be downloaded for free at alchemyj.io. The difference between AlchemyJ Community Edition and AlchemyJ Excel library is AlchemyJ Excel library only contains extended functions such as the one we will be using today. It cannot turn an Excel workbook into an API. For this video, I'm using AlchemyJ Excel library, which has everything we need, but the same technique will work on all editions of AlchemyJ. Alright, with this sorted out, we can initialize the model. What I just did was to add the AlchemyJ extended functions into this workbook. So now when we type =aj, you can see that there's a list of AlchemyJ extended functions available. We'll use ajReadFile to read our CSV file. ajReadFile returns an array, so I select the range first and type =ajReadFile, open bracket. The first parameter is the file path, so I'm going to copy the file path here and add the file name at the end. Then, comma. The second parameter is the delimiter, so we put double quote, comma, double quote. Then I press Ctrl-Shift-Enter to enter this formula as an array formula. Notice that nothing happens. It's because by default, ajReadFile does not run until we press Refresh Data. This is because it might take a long time to load a file if the file is really big. So click Refresh Data, and here we go. If you want ajReadFile to run every time Excel calculates the workbook, just like other normal Excel functions do, you can set the run by function point only parameter to false. By the way, this function supports other parameters as well. You can define the enclosure character, the line number that you want to start reading, the number of lines you want it to read, and all sorts of other options. Okay, so if we hit F9 or click Calculate Now, the function will run just like other Excel functions. So this is how we can use readFile function to read data from a file into Excel using a formula. Let's modify this example to read a different file based on the value of a cell. First, let's define a customer number field here and give it a value of 102. Next, we modify the read file formula to read cell B1 for the file name. Again, I need to press Ctrl Shift Enter to enter this formula as an array formula. Now, Excel reads the file based on the value in B2. Brilliant! If we change this back to 101, the data changes immediately. Isn't this cool? Alright, what I have shown you here is really just an example, and I'm sure you can use this technique in many Excel applications. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you can find some good use of this AlchemyJ read file function in your Excel application. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell button for more videos. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!